Welcome, everyone. Thank you all so much for being here with our January feature poet, JOYPoet VeerajaR. The Gestalt Open Mic is a safe space where all perspectives are welcome. Please visit amyhoskins.com in the writing section for events and publications. The second edition of my poems, 1985 to 2019, is now available. And I also have my novel up there, Rebecca's Closet, which we're hoping to make into a film. We're going to make a short, like 15-minute film this year, like in New Orleans or someplace over a weekend. And then hopefully have a feature film someday. But I'm editing the second edition now for the release with the short film for next year. Okay. So also please join us on Facebook at Gestalt Poetry Open Mic, and videos of Gestalt are available on YouTube, also in that writing section. And on February 25th, our feature poet is Generalissimo Bryan Franco. We're very excited for that too. Okay, now let me introduce our January Gestalt feature poet, JOYPoet VeerajaR. A doctorate from Marquette University, Wisconsin, VeerajaR is a scientist turned poet. She has lived and taught across the globe in Sri Lanka, Nigeria, and the medical schools in the US, including Vanderbilt, Meharry, and Aquinas Nursing in Tennessee. She writes in awe of God, nature, and life around us. And her books, Joy of Being, Poetry for the Heart, Mind and Spirit 2013, Beyond Loving, Poetry Honoring Every Mother 2018 are both available on Amazon. And her website is really easy to remember. It's www.joypoet.com. VeerajaR is also published in Best Poets of 2016, 18, 22, Contemplation Where the Mind Dwells 2015, the Haiku Society of America's Anthology 2017 to 2021, and the 150th Tennessee Civil War Anthology Filtered Through Time 2012. Actively involved in the local creative community, VeerajaR strives to provide ongoing poetry venues open to the public. Annually, a Tennessee Poets Day since 2017, celebrating National Poetry Month, and since the pandemic, a weekly open mic poetry via Zoom. As the executive producer of Volunteer Poets from the Neighborhood Program, she passionately helps bring the works and voices of the local poets and poets from afar, affiliated via Tennessee Poets outreach programs on WCTV Tennessee every Friday since 2014. So everyone, please unmic and give a warm welcome to VeerajaR.
Welcome. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for the wonderful, kind introduction, Amy.
You're so welcome.
Thank you for inviting me to be here. I have been here before, attending the open mic, and I'm very honored to be featured today, and I'll do my best to share some of my poetry. And also, if you all would like to contact me regarding any programs we have on the TV or the Tennessee Poets Day, please can contact us. I'll put that email and link on the chat. Thank you. And these are the two books that I have, Joy of Being and Beyond Loving. So these covers are all my photographs and proud to show off. And I'm here because of my mother to begin with. She was an English teacher, and she instilled the love of poetry when I was just a child. In honor of her, actually, I seriously started writing when I lost to, you know, the emotions and all that. And then around 2007, I went to read one of the poem I wrote for her on Tennessee Readout. And then the other poets embraced me and invited. And so that's how I didn't know it's acceptable and good enough. So this is why I'm passionate about what I'm doing, to get all the other poets be inspired and get together and all that. What others did to me, I want to reciprocate. And so first poem, I'm reading what I wrote in honor of my mother, Up on a Pedestal. Please let me, oh God, to put my mother up on a pedestal made of the purest gold, adorned with precious gems of Ceylon, and poetry garlands strewn on pouring love from my heart. Please grant me, O God, poetic words melting like primed milk chocolate, solid as pure gold, glistening smooth. Picking her out of all angels, placing in her womb, you blessed, pure soul like me forever. And so it's one of the favorite poems of my mentor, friend, poet from Williamson County, Sally Arley, Dr. Sally Arley. And she is key mentor for me to grow and have more confidence and become a poet. She's the one told me, you are a poet, until it stuck with me. So bless her heart. I want to honor her. And the next poem, All is Well. All is well with the world while I lie in my hammock, watching the squirrels chase with noble intentions, or listening to blue jay cry loud concerns for his mate. All is well with the world when the sky is clear blue, wearing the whitest clouds, and air is laden with rainbows of scents, a map for bees and butterflies dancing under the hot sun. All is well with the world when I can lie in my hammock, still as a firewood, that cardinal cloaked, bright and red, at arm's length, sits and whistles, endless love for his plain old wife. All will be well with the world when I lie in my little grave, just as I am now resting in my hammock, amidst a busy world breathing and breeding happiness all around. Thank you. And this one, actually, how I felt one day when I was in my hammock and it was all serene. I thought, oh, it's not bad. If this is a grave and I'm lying in the grave, it will be fine. So that's what the poem came about. And this one is published in Where the Mind Dwells anthology, Smiling Buddha. I detect a teardrop hiding. I detect a teardrop hiding behind poised eyes meditating. But Buddha keeps smiling wryly, exquisitely engraved in ivory, tusk plucked off, a gentlest soul tossed aside with a bullet hole. But Buddha keeps smiling, exquisitely engraved in ivory, shining, behind poised eyes meditating. I detect a teardrop hiding, but Buddha keeps smiling, exquisitely of a gentlest soul. And that poem I wrote after watching about poaching elephants just for the tusk, and mainly the higher demand in the Eastern countries, and they make high price ivory Buddha statues. So I thought, what an irony. And that's how that poem came about. This one is from the haiku anthology, Haiku Society. Lotuses laugh, bathing in the moonlight, all color bleached. Lotuses laugh, bathing in the moonlight, all color bleached. And this one, Filtered Through Time, is an anthology my friend and mentor Sally Arley put together for Civil War 150th anniversary. So she gathered stories and poems, and I know she was expecting something from me, and I wasn't sure what I would write for Civil War anthology. But war is abound around the world, and I am from Ceylon, and it had 30 years of civil war, unfortunately. So it is sad. So I get really sad about any war. And in the end, we have to really be thankful for the soldiers because they do their duty, but the decision makers have to be wiser. So anyway, and the children and future of the population, any population, the children are the most affected. So this one, titled Marching Orders. A soldier I am, marching on, to capture that hill, to put up our flag, to remove all resistance, red and vivid. Blood shed for the land. I shed no tears for the hearts that stopped beating, for that will be me in a beat if I stop to think with my heart. A soldier I am, marching on, deadbeat. And there's another, that in the same anthology, The Loss, A Mother's Cry. The person you did not become, and the life taken away. For you, I cry from the depths of my soul, and will weep from within my grave. Amy, how am I doing on the time? Can I read?
You could read like one or two more.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. So, then I visited an orphanage, Mother Teresa's orphanage. And so this, the children are children with bright eyes and smiles. And they have their own preferences. And they were pushing away some curry. They didn't like it. So we shouldn't think like because children and they are in orphanage, they are going to be like gobble up what you give. But they had their own rights and their preferences. So I was really touched and inspired by the spirit of their, individuality. After visiting the orphanage, barely toddlers yet haven't got a real parent, but their little world is filled with selfless nuns and caring volunteers, solely hung on humanity, charity, so vulnerable and tender, heart-tugging little faces of winning swift smiles. Some still sigh, shedding tears, yearning for the fading faces, the voices that rocked them to sleep, not there anymore. With tender hearts of hope, their bright beaming eyes, wisdom beyond their age, bring joy and tears all at once. They thread their fingers naturally like tender vines, feeling and checking the strength of the arbor. I know I fall short in measure, though I wish I could care for them all. Thank you. And one more poem. Okay. So this one is a semi-finalist on Poetry Nation. Who's Who? Who's Who? So this one is about our initial days in Wisconsin, new to the country. So any any migrant is, it's plucked off from their roots, and it's not easy. So, so this is about that morning ritual. 3 little faces framed in wool caps, eyes pretending to be intently closed, flickering eyelids trying to see the winter morn snow through a circle, hole on the footboard rusted under the rug. Mom in front seat still trying to shake off her sleepless late night. Both mittened hands held in prayer, holding their breath in all earnest. The children murmur, please, Jesus, please let the car start, please. As Dad keys in the ignition and turns apprehensively. With a jolt, the old Mercury Monarch roars, clapping and cheering. The children shout a prayer. Thank you, Jesus. With a sigh of relief, Mom and Dad, both grad students, join in the morning ritual of family tenacity and gratitude. Our early years of migrant work making home in Wisconsin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. There was actually a hole in that old Mercury Monarch, a huge car with leather seats, but it's a second-hand car, but it had a hole in the back seat and the floorboard. We didn't know until later. My kids were telling, so I thought, oh my goodness. So they used to look through.
Oh, so, goodness.
That's how we had, our life, and 3 kids. All were born here and in grad school. So we managed it all. So looking back, I thought, wow. So thank you. And thank you for your time. And
thank you. Oh gosh, what a blessing you are. Just so spiritual and centered and a joy to be with. I really appreciate everything.
Thank you.
It's beautiful. Thank you for sharing your experiences.
Thank you all. Thank you.
Wonderful
Thank you,
poetry. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.
You're so welcome. I'm going to grab the list again and we'll put that in there. Oh, and we'll try again. All right. Okay, our first poet on the mic after VeerajaR is James Floyd. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I
Thank you.
enjoyed your poetry. Thank you
Thank
very much. Uh, I have two offerings. The first one is titled Terra Incognita, and it is an excerpt from a semi-autobiographical trilogy that Clive Oseman was kind enough to include in his anthology. Okay. While I was in solitary confinement, time seemed to slow down and be heavy, each moment blatantly confined to me to my own thoughts. Only now, as I write this, do I realize the benefit of that experience, because it was there in that tiny cell with nothing but a bunk and a sink and a toilet and the stub of a pencil and a piece of paper, in my underwear, stripped of all human dignity, that I not only learned to listen to my own thoughts and weigh them, but for the first time in my life, I contemplated the reason for my being on this earth and considered my future. And in a giant leap of faith, I wrote this. As I stood by my window looking through the bars, a sparrow lit upon the sill to watch me. As the sparrow angled its head for a better view, I angled my imagination, and I seemed to hear it saying, "Look at you, daydreaming, wishing you would come and go as I do, not realizing that when you could, you were still not free, for your nature is your yoke. You've misused and abused everything you could, and that which you could not misuse or abuse, you've destroyed. You have ruined everything you have touched, the air, the water, the land. You murder for greed, for lust, for sport, for religion, for justice. And you label all animals, all fellow animals who kill only for food, beasts of prey. You recreate the maker with your talk, lose yourself in rituals, and rationalize your miserable existence in self-delusion. My disgust for your species is surpassed only by the joy of seeing one of you here in this cage. It's just as well your kind will never know freedom, for if you did, you would find some way to imprison yourself with it. And as the sparrow flew off, somewhere in the distance, I heard mocking laughter. Okay. Now, thank you. This is my book. This is my book, Random Impulses. I'm going to read one piece from it. It's the piece I'm reading is titled Random Unimpulses. And this is about realities that we suppress to keep from realizing them in our consciousness because we don't want to deal with it. Random unimpulses. I'll go slow. Think tanks wed PR firms and give birth to icons who grow up to fall for paragons and stand for products. It's all about money. Politically correct leaders vote on moral issues for paychecks that don't quite measure up to the standard of living that comes with the job of never having enough power. And had there been welfare 2,000 years ago, Joseph and Mary would have had a semi-decent place to raise Jesus to believe he needed a little chemical stimulation to help him become the Christ, while on his way to the joint with 3 to 5 for B&E instead of the cross for all sins, because it's all about religion. And if 12-year-old virgins had rose bushes in their underwear, some old clergy would have thorns in their brains, because it's all about facades. And if I say this poem in public, it will probably upset a fluent apple carts and shockwaves through the crab syndrome and piss some prigs, but that's okay. I never filled out an application because being an icon don't mean nothing, no way. It's all about spirituality. Thank you.
Truth. Thank you so much, James. That was amazing. Per usual. So good to see you here. Okay, next we have Richard Harries.
Hello. I was looking through my documents for other things, and I found these 4 poems recently, which I'd kind of forgotten, and they're much shorter ones. So anyway, Into the Wood. Get your coat on, we'll take the dog out into the woods. Happy, age 7, Sunday morning, off we go. Mad Dalmatian running around, chattering away to my dad, asking about flowers, asking about trees. For God's sake, stop chattering. Walked in silence, not sure what to do. Walk in front of me. So I did. 100 feet away in silence, confused. What had seemed to be a joy was now awful. Silence continued. No one spoke. Patted dog who sensed I was upset. Silent walk all the way home. Some Sunday morning. Now, years later, I know that he would have been pissed the night before and went for a walk to clear his head before he got pissed again. Now I know about alcoholism. Now I know it was not me, my fault. But then I blame me for being awful. I don't think I knew the word scum, but that's how I felt. I truly believe that a lifetime of low self-esteem and fighting depression started there in that lovely, beautiful wood. And then there's Miss Trotman, my dad's secretary. I remember how she looked vaguely, Dame Edna glasses, but long before Dame Edna, and this was the 60s. She was old, probably about 30. Wrote to me when my father had information to convey, organised a car with a chauffeur to take me to and from boarding school. One year at Christmas, the car arrived and took me home. My friends looked at the car with envy, the liveried chauffeur too. But my father and stepmother had forgotten about me, about my existence, and had their friend in my room, in my bed at Christmas. So I was found an empty flat, owned by a friend of my dad who was away for Christmas with his family. Helped my self-esteem no end. When related at school to friends, they thought it was funny, hilarious. No one else had been treated like this. I did not find it funny, but I pretended I did. Dad moved to Brussels, never heard from Miss Trotman again. I assume she's long gone. But I remember her, she was kind and tried her best to help an unloved, rejected, bereaved, bewildered child. And she'd be 100, I suppose, now. Truth spoken. At a very posh wedding, family wedding, in leafy Buckinghamshire, music playing, wine flowing, an older man walks up to me with his hand extended for me to shake. Shake complete, I look inquiring at him, wondering who he is. So you're Charles Harries' son, he exclaimed. Must have been so much fun. My face is blank for a moment. I think what to say. I struggle with my thoughts and decide that being true to me is the only way. Would you like to live in a house with a violent, selfish drunk? I hear myself say. The man is embarrassed, has no idea what to say. I tell my sister and she says, why did you have to say that? I pause and I think, well, it was the truth and I have a duty to be true to me. I won't deny the pain that I and my siblings went through. If I did, the lie would have left anger in me, anger aimed at me. I've dealt with the past, but I won't deny it happened. Depression and illness lie that way. I want to be calm inside and to be true to me. And then this other one is also involves him. Life changes. I was brought up by a Tory, got beaten by my father for going in a council house just to see a mate and have a cup of tea. Was not allowed to watch ITV, only the BBC. Other channels were common. I lived in posh Tory Harrogate. The only black people I had seen were Winifred Atwell, Harry Belafonte, Nat King Cole and Eartha Kitt on the TV back then in the 50s. Then Aretha, Otis, Nina and Motown came into my life and enriched it. But I'd still not actually met a black person. One day at school, a new boy arrived. He was black and he was nice and a lovely bloke and a great hero on the sports field. My mother, thank God, was a fearless Labour woman from the Welsh valleys, had taught us to accept people and treat them all well, accept them until they let us down. After leaving school, my life became diverse and I met people of all walks of life, ethnicity and sexuality. I never had any problem unless they acted like bastards to me. But the same can be said of white, straight, English bullies and liars I met. I only trust, like, love decent folk. My life has been consistently and constantly enriched as I went through it by the diversity I've encountered as I wander on my way. And that's me. And somebody once said to me, your father didn't come out very well from that poem. I said, I think you'll find didn't come out very well of any poem he's involved in, but there you go.
Wonderful,
Anyway,
wonderful. Wow.
thank you.
Wow. So good. Thank you.
And
for
I'd kind of
sharing.
lost them. I'd forgotten those. I just put a different word into my search and all these suggested titles came up and I thought, oh, what are those? And I went and looked at them, as you
That's
do.
wonderful. When did you write them, do you think? Did you say when you wrote them?
I think they're probably about 5 years ago. But of course,
mhm.
the facts haven't changed, have they?
No. They're
And
beautiful. They're beautiful
yes,
and
thank you.
moving.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, do we have Sarvin Afarinesh?
Hello, yes.
Yay!
Hi,
Welcome.
Emily.
Hi.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Hi, everyone. Okay, I'm gonna read just a short poem and then another poem. Usually my poems are really expressing my pain. But I'm not in that mood right now, so I'm gonna read something different. I don't want to go down right now. So this one I've just come across. It's short. Excuse me. My life is not a disaster. This is just a chapter where something happened and I reacted. Like rapid fire, I said, I would never hire you to be my friend. And in the end, I think I'm dead. But I'm in the good place, the growth phase. No one's dead. And the second one, celebrate your weakness. It's only a label. You are not your weak knees. You are not only pleased by winning. You love that touch of caress when you're shown somebody cares. And it's you who dares to take the risk of failure. So much courage mustered only to be blamed, to be overlooked as you're riddled with shame. Let's turn this plate on its head. Let's say we serve ice and success. Let's see who we are when we're not well fed. I dare you to be yourself. You are not your weakness. You are not speechless in the name of love. You have a heart and it never fails to beat. You're not stale. You're human. And your weakness is mine too. It can only be mine if I hide myself from you. But my weak knees will give me away. I'm a human too. I'm cold and out of booze. I'm holding on to the story of you that I aspire to, but it's not true. I dare you to be yourself. I dare you to scare yourself with your big ideas, your long breasts and heavy chest. I dare you, because we're all fools. Thank you.
Wow, that was so good, so good, so good. Thank you so much. I'm speechless, and I remember there was something about being speechless before the heart, but the vulnerability is there, and very powerful. Thank you. Wow. Next, we have Alexandra Psaropoulous. Want to share the screen?
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
Wanted to say, isn't it wonderful when VeerajaR was saying that she had a teacher who actually saw the poet in her, and I had a teacher like that too. So it's really wonderful to have teachers like that in your life.
I agree.
Yeah. Sorry, flying one is too long, so I will just start from here. In the city, we sit and have our drinks, and I have the butterfly and the clouds inside, and I have the blowing of the wind inside, and I have the land being golden all around, and I won't speak because everything is happening, and I have all the joy inside. I will fly, I must fly forever. And even if no one knows, and even if the other worlds never know, and even if the land is frozen, and even if there isn't a single plant or tree, I will always dream, I will always dream, I will always dream, and I promise I will always dream. We go to the horses every day. The horses are flying high up in the mountains, and they say, I have to fly to other lands. And I walk up the ramp and everything is still and quiet, and the horses are eating and the doves are flying up above the cave. I sit on a stone up above the cliff. My son likes it there. He knows we don't talk. Grey and windy, little horse running through the mountains like crazy, and the wind is blowing. And the moon is shining because it has the magical world inside, and it has all our friends inside, and it has all the dreaming and all the hoping inside. And our friends are here, and the people are around, and the fun is happening, and there is comfort and there is gratitude inside. And all our friends are here, and all the people are around, and all the fun is happening, and all the thrill and all the happiness is inside. And there are dreams and there is dreaming, dream to survive. And there are dreams and there is dreaming, dream to make life right. And the magical world exists everywhere, both in hell and in heaven. And the magical world goes everywhere, both to hell and to heaven. And sometimes a need comes from outside, and sometimes from within. And I have to dream, dream alone. And I have to dream, dream in society now. And sometimes the magic comes from outside, and sometimes from within. And I have to dream, dream to have everything happen inside. And I have to dream, dream to have everything happen in society now. I eat red grapes and all my strength returns. All the light is in the sun waves on my body, on the sea sand. I lie in your strong arms in the dream boat. Our souls, white butterflies, golden cords unite us. And the living is so difficult, and the dreaming is all hard, and thoughts are troubled, and the dreaming is dangerous, and fear is all around, and the dreaming is desperate, and moments are almost unsurpassable, and the dreaming is extreme, and the flying is high, and the flying is high. And the living is so perfect, and the dreaming is all real, and thoughts are confident, and the dreaming is the most beautiful, and excitement is all around, and the dreaming is full of joy, and moments are almost untouchable, and the dreaming is forever fulfilled, and the flying is high, and the flying is high, and the flying is the highest. And the wind is blowing, and the land is golden, and the moon is shining. And the wind is blowing, and the horses are flying, and the land is golden, and the moon is shining, and everyone is here, and the whole world is around, and all the living is happening, and all the dreaming and all the flying is inside, and all the dreaming and all the flying is outside. Now dream, now live. Now dream, now live. Thank you.
So incredibly beautiful. Thank you so much. Your visual art, your
Thank you.
poetry is ecstatic. It's beautiful. It is so wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. Next, we have Keith Marr. See you.
Okay,
Hello.
thank you so much. It's really good to be here. And it's always nice to be in the presence of my fellow lovers of the spoken and written word, my people. So
Yay.
to be honest, I'm feeling really angry these days. I live in Southern California, and I don't know if you've been aware, but there have been a number of massacres in our area. There was one on Lunar New Year, and then one maybe a day later. And so I'm going to do a piece that I hope captures my anger and indignation. And I found something by a man named Tom McAllister, and really he could say it better than I ever could. So I want to share with you his work in case you haven't heard of him. And this is called What to Do with My Body in the Event I Die in a Mass Shooting. Take that body and don't even clean off the skin. Don't wash it out of my clothes. Don't change my facial expression or adjust my posture. Don't do anything to hide the reality of my death. Let people see me exactly how I was in my last moments, my face twisted in horror and confusion, my body curled unnaturally, as if hunching my back could ever protect me from the bullets. Nothing can protect you. I want them to see my mouth agape. My eyes feel betrayed, but also weary, because in those final moments, I know I would be shocked, but not surprised. You can't be surprised by something that happens every day. Nobody is surprised to see the sunrise in the morning. After I've been executed for the crime of being in a public place, my final wish is for the people who enabled this crime again and again and again to have my face, to face my anger and explain themselves, lift my body off the ground and haul it to the site of my death, straight to the Capitol. Parade me through the halls and bang on the doors and demand that they look at what the bullets did to me. Tell them where my blood spilled and make them stick their fingers into the wounds like Thomas into Jesus's side. Don't waste time trying to convince them that I was better or more worthy of dignity than any other person. Don't allow them to rank the victims in terms of their value. and don't allow them in any conversation aside from this. From this, right here is my body that you killed, and I want you to know what you're going to do about it. They'll arrest you, they'll vilify you, and they'll threaten you with their guns. Keep going back. Keep showing them my body. Every day, pile more bodies in the halls so they can't go anywhere without stepping over the victims. Force them to look down at the dead body and lift their leg as if stepping over a puddle. Don't join them in their prayers. The God they pray to doesn't exist. When they step over my dead body, I want them to look down into my vacant eyes and reckon with the way it ended. I want them to be transported into my mind and feel what I felt after being shot in those final moments as I bled onto the tile floor of the mall, or onto the grass outside a summer concert, or in the dirt of the city beer garden, or in the middle of my fucking classroom. I want you to be thinking of all the ways my own country has abandoned its people for profit, for spite, for no reason at all. I would be lying there, remembering all the murders I've cheered for in the movies, all the thousands of dead bodies I've digested and forgotten. And I would look up at the ceiling, searching for meaning, and find nothing at all. And I would be thinking, is this really all there is? Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate your perspective and bringing reality to us. And I used to head an interfaith group trying to end gun violence. And so I'm with you. It does make you incredibly angry, and it's just stupefying that it happens every day and more than once a day.
Yeah,
Thank you. I really appreciate you being here.
thank you. I
Mhm.
appreciate the outlet.
Oh, sure.
I need it.
Well, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. Anytime. Now we have Henry L. Jones.
Hey everyone, lost track of time or the lineup. I want to share. This is good to hear. I waited for this. I was at Tennessee Poets running a little late, and I promised my friend, I said, I will be there for you with Gestalt, and I'm glad I made it, and it's a wonderful set today, VeerajaR. All right, the first poem, and thank you, Amy, again for having a forum. This one is from the anthology Freedom Papers, and the editor is Amy Jackson, or now we know her as different last name, but back in the day. And I think it's timely because of what's been going on, unfortunately. It's titled Freedom. It's basically, we're talking about a hunt and the behavior, which is what we keep seeing on TV. Freedom. Lost in urban fields of concrete and steel instead of corn and cotton. Don't you dare speak or walk too far from your neighborhood, or we'll let the blood flow to make them remember Total Recall blistered. From hours in the sun, pineal blocks make being less spiritual. Spreading fade cream on your face to be new, safe, and maybe passionate. Still, those dreams coat eyelids in morning, salty crud to remain. Preserve generational lies, whispered but refusing to listen what happened in darkness. So you don't want to be Black, blending into those stories with full moon's only eye, casting a path to freedom, but few really run when sung or listen with their hearts. Those songs never faded, echoing still in the wind. Freedom seems so empty when still you wonder today, while driving, walking, jogging, shopping, partying, or simply sitting. You will be beaten or killed, whether you speak politely or with defiance. Nothing seems to matter. They're just standing their ground, urban hunt, same dogs, knowing the scent from the past meat. Hunger for violence and revenge, awaiting the promised race war and the return of the land and pride, controlling the new slaves working, using an app to control them outside while listening in a world of VR, of virtual reality. And that whole book was about basically what we're still enduring from the past and what's relevant today. And thank you again for Amy for publishing that back when we called it Flat Rock, which is now Gestalt. And I've told Amy many, many times, I'm glad that she continued this because we've lost some poetry vendors. This next poem is titled ID in 3D. And it's from my book, Run into Blackness, Feeling Some Poetic Gumbo. I live in my words, for my words, will die with these words, and find some moments of peace only found within the walls I build and imagine their pyramids. And I, a Black priest, enlightened, insight, seeing visions of the future possessed by Blackness as beauty to my eyes, but the darkness is a void, awaiting to be filled, this summon to suffer, to know pity from dignity, enough history to erase the shame. Where is the joy promised? Whoever promised happiness, why isn't being Black enough? As a sister told me, I know I'm Black, and I don't need all that African stuff, she said. Heaven help us now. The angels and the folks all lacing the thighs, draped across my chest up to my lips to fill them with laughter, to silence the rage with warmth, drowning my eyes with a vision, which blinds them, makes it difficult to see me. Need to look at my ID to remember who I am. Crisis not of this world, come to terms to be true to myself. I die inside, fighting to be what I am. But who should know me for what I am? Not even my own people. History lessons filled with the past, picnic, delight, Black nightmares hanging from a sycamore tree where angels ignited my bones and chanted, burn, burn, burn. Then they whispered hand in hand together at the end before eating fried chicken. This fire will save you in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. And the last one is a short one. And it is from the book Coming Home with Carlton Wilkinson from the African Male Museum series. It's titled Sun One. I am the son of the sun. Night comes, the fears as shadows surround me. I fade without thought in the fears. I see you holding tomorrow in your arms, the sun. I lift my eyes, you let me in, you shine through me. We are the sun, we are of the sun. blackened by its flaring fingers that touched our spirits, that made us one people. Thank you.
Brilliant, so brilliant, moving. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Wonderful. And great comments too. You want to read them? Thank you for being here. Now we have Raw E.M. James. Is he here? I don't see him. Okay. Now we have Therese Craine Bertsch. Did I say that correctly?
You did, yeah. Thank you.
Yay. Good to see you.
Thanks. I feel like spending an hour crying after all that I've just heard. It's overwhelming in this country, really. And VeerajaR, beautiful poetry. So I have two things. One, some people may have heard. One, I'm just writing. Some people don't get it, but all the mysteries of the Rosary. In our faith, we have 4 different sets. And I've read the joyful set to some, the sorrowful set. And I'm just beginning the illumination set, and I did one. So I'm going to read just that one and then one other poem. That's just by way of explanation. You don't have to remember it. So this is called Epiphany is Love of Neighbor. It was subtle at first and quenched my thirst, filling my being with energy, a great surprise. Well, you know me through and through, and with just a touch, it wasn't much, I came alive. It stayed with me for many years, and when false fears arise, I recall most of all it was love. You see, this stream of love, if kept in silence, does violence to who it is we're meant to be. Love only grows in you and me when we remember who we are as children of the stars and night, children of our universe who now rehearse from where we stand. No, not the you behind the screens of an innocent imposter, afraid to be seen, afraid to risk the unfamiliar alone as one must be to be free. Awakened in our life, we break through shadows of prescribed certainty, and now alive, we are free to live our own lives, not someone else's story. We live our own lives, not someone else's story, and I'd rather be betrayed by love and a twisted meaning of love. Created and sustained by love, the essence of our being, this is the door of recognition and not some fiction. We need not hang our head in shame with accusations or blame, as vulnerability is the path to our encounter with the past. When Eden was the ground of fusion, this love continues our communion. Yes, in this touch of recognition, we come alive, and our contrition is only for the loss of life and all the strife that's born of competition. Still, despite the differences and our knowledge of false coding, I will risk our interior foreboding that disgrace and shame will be my fate. No, it's not too late to love. This energy will take us far, and link by link, the star that guided the first epiphany will fill our bodies and our minds, rejoicing in diversity as one body in a cosmic destiny. And it was love that set us free. Love is the royal energy. And this is just a little one that I wrote. One mystery, and it might not be done yet, I don't know. It's the luminous mysteries, we call it, the baptism of Jesus through time and space at this very place, a wedge at the edge of the River Jordan. That's the title. As Jesus felt the heat on his feet beneath the sandals, he did not command the seas at the Jordan, but plunged into the amniotic sac of the cosmos. The river of love was set free to run between us, breathing a life into every single being. The spirit of love, now embodied as well as the dove, the companion, freed us. Yes, the breath of the one in three now manifests on earth as the heavens break open. Elijah's fiery chariot ascending, blending time and space, creating a parallel universe. The Father did not spare his divinity. The three, now wrapped in Our Lady's body, peer through a tear in the portal of time and space. The baptized onlookers looked upon his face as he emerged from the waters of the Jordan. Something new. What is this? The floor of the universe parted, opening wide, as generation after generation discover the presence is now inside each of us. We are transformed through his baptism and united, breaking through the prison of despair that would have us believe we must bear the burden of love through self-will. Yet still we discover, whether by water or desire, or by our blood and love of one another, this mystery is for all of us, you see. Yes, all of humanity, not just a few are made new. Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful, vivid, wonderful storytelling and wonderful vision, dreaming. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now we have Joy Johnson.
Hello.
Yay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
I have a couple here that I picked out. I hope that's okay. The first one is called Proof, but it's proof in the as an adjective, as in bulletproof, that kind of proof. And actually, this one I wrote when I visited Amy up in Nashville. So it starts with a little, what do you call it? Epigraph or it's not epitaph, whatever the heck it is, you know. It's a little quote from Jung. The sole purpose of human existence is to kindle a light in the darkness of mere being. Jung, okay? So here we go. Proof. She kindles light in being, no reason. Nearness is all. Her gravity, my mass, make it essential. Suddenly I behold judgment heaped upon all the living and dead. Cannot expunge worthiness bestowed by birth close to this blue planet hot dam. Trespassing values confuse, overwhelm with sometimes inability to overcome inadequacy, hijack resilience, leading to forgetting, but I'll not birth, nor ever shall I, that abuse is a myth and hallucination that need not be fought tooth and nail. This being a fractal in the biosphere is absolute majesty and bites into an automatic spark that renders Jung's idea of beingness moot. Responsibility is not flitting. Allowance of an intrinsic clause at integrity arranged how she sees. There you go.
Awesome.
Oh,
Awesome.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Oh my
And then
goodness.
I wanted
Yes.
to read a pantoum that I wrote. I don't think I've read it for you guys before, but even if I did, there's people here that wouldn't have heard it because they weren't here that time. So it's called Pantoum for Benjamin. There's a lot of repetition in a pantoum. It builds into God only knows what, so hold on to your butts. That night, I curled under his covers with Benjamin, the green sheets and warmth. But I returned to wash hands of herbs after a hike in leaf crunch and so forth. With Benjamin, the green sheets and warmth, I had brought hands that were garlic cutters after a hike in leaf crunch and so forth, and a pasta supper, some wine, and a verse. I had brought hands that were garlic cutters into his bed within range of nostril storm, and a pasta supper, some wine, and a verse. All of it to me pungent delight and the norm. Into his bed within range of nostril storm, with which I could not commune, happy to immerse all the to me pungent delight and the norm, since in my youth, my face broke on my horse, with which I could not commune, happy to immerse myself in what aroma to my nose swarmed, since in my youth, my face broke on my horse and my sense of smell became deformed. Myself in what aroma to my nose swarmed, in those souks in the desert where spices were boss, and my sense of smell was deformed as I learned how to ride and be divorced in those souks in the desert where spices were boss from a former life where more than onion alarmed. And I learned how to ride and be divorced from my newfound transport of turmeric and lime. From a former life where more than onion alarmed, I came to Ben's bed, garlicky and uncorked, from the newfound transport of turmeric and lime, which had to be washed off several times to comport. I came to Ben's bed, garlicky and uncorked. Should have known straight away the sublime, which had to be washed off several times to comport, was an omen. Ben would be wasting my time. Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Wonderful, brilliant. Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you. Maureen Medina, are you here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yay, I can. I can't see you yet, but I can. hear
Sorry,
you.
unfortunately my camera it hasn't been working for some time, so I hope that's all right.
That is totally fine. It's
Okay.
good to hear you.
I was gonna say I'm real.
Welcome.
I have met a few people here in person.
That's cool.
Thank you so much for having me. I'd like to share 3 short pieces. I am a newly published author of my first poetry collection, My Fears Out Loud, and I also host writing workshops, but I'll get into it. So just a warning, it is in the pieces I'll be sharing today are in line with what Keith and Henry have shared, the ongoing police brutality and white supremacy. So just trigger warning, there's violence. So this first piece is called Synesthesia. Synesthesia, the beauty of seeing colors in music or music as colors, the perception of togetherness, for there is no one without the other. Why is it that when you see color, you don't see me? The sun beams down on us, reminds us of its power, but you won't be humbled. You cling to the shadows, and that is darkness I won't tolerate. Souls fade into a gradient sorted by rose-colored glasses, and they'll burn you to ashes with their pointy hats and sticks or batons and tell you color is wrong. Well, the only time white is right is when it's a blank canvas, a clean slate unstained by your dirty mind. And 2 more short pieces. One is inspired by Diane Ackerman's piece called School Prayer. It's time for school and a prayer. I pray that you wake and have a hearty breakfast, colorful and vibrant. I pray that you are nourished. I pray that you arrive safely, whether you're strolling, carpooling, or on the bus. I pray that you are safeguarded. I pray that you find your friends, the kind ones and the bossy ones. Play, sunbathe, imagine and learn. I pray for your innocence. I pray that you are who you are without fear or reservation. May your roots be watered and held sacred. I pray that you are protected. I pray that you repeat this dance, that you nurture and relish it, that you make it back home and to every destination. I pray for your return. I pray that the systems that mean to harm you, destroy your vitality, your identity, and your spirit are not guided by bullets and bigotry. This time, I pray for them. I pray that they learn how to love instead of learning how to shoot. It's time for school. This is my prayer, my plea. And the final piece is called 2 Kinds of Tired, inspired by Tabile Nguato's quote, which is, There are two types of tired, one that requires rest and one that requires peace. I am tired and I need rest. I am tired and I need peace. But can I rest in peace while I'm still here? Or does my existence have to end for it to mean something? Must I be stabbed, gunned down, my quality of life hung over my head just beyond reach so that I'm not quite drowning, but I'm running out of oxygen? Must I crumble instead of the systems designed to pulverize me, crush the life out of me as I beg for the bare minimum, as I beg to be regarded as a living being, as I beg to be loved, even if you don't like me? I am on my knees, not of my own volition, but because the weight is too much to bear. I am tired and I need rest. I am tired and I need peace. But can I rest in peace while I'm still here, even if you are here too? Thank you.
So brilliant. So well done. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Good to
Oh,
have you
Amy,
here.
Amy, may I say something real quick?
Sure.
I do have Maureen's book, and it is so truly amazing. Every poem that she writes has that piece of her soul that she let you hear tonight. So I just want to say that everyone should buy her book.
Do we have a link we can put in the chat? I would love that. Because everyone can have an option to do that. If we can.
Yes, I'm sharing it now. Thank you so much,
Oh,
Bryan.
awesome.
And
Thank
if I can
you.
just do another shameless promotion, that
Oh,
I'll
sure.
be doing a book launch on Friday, February 24th. So I'll share my link in the chat. Thank you all so much. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Beautiful poetry. Beautiful soul. Oh my goodness. Is David M. Harris here? I don't remember seeing him. Is he not here? Okay. Bruce Jennings.
Oh, he couldn't be here today.
Okay, no worries. Rebecca Yancey. Joseph G. Sanfilippo? No. Okay. Leonard Lund? No. Dana Malone? Deborah Burris Kitchen. Oh, she was here, I remember. Now, Richard Spisak. Good to see you.
I am here.
Yay!
Well, I have a couple pieces for you. Hopefully, they're both thoughtful and at least mildly amusing. Let me bring you this one first. I'm going to start a little lighthearted. Many of us have worked for social justice and for peace for a long time, and I know I count myself among those who, back when we were opposing this war or that war, took kind of a jaundiced look at those who, appeared to use the fashion of peace, but really didn't seem to know what the heck it was about. So this is called Even the Peace Poser. Remember when peace activism was fashionable? When even the posers chose the fashion of peace? We judge them too often, too harshly. But I'll take a peace poser with the hand sign, figures a waggling, and the faux passion to either the war profiteer or those lost in the daily grinding hunt. But for some of us, we meant it then, we mean it now. When Dr. King threatened their war, and he threatened to point out the uses of the poor, he was sacrificed. Simply, improbably, by a vagrant with a lot of cash. Very sloppy. It was the dollars then, and it's the dollars now. Give peace a chance. This one is called Miss Nabizada, We Will. Miss Nabizada, Until. Our friends in Afghanistan, as you know, women are not even second-class citizens. They're barely regarded as human by the government. And there was a brave woman, Miss Nabizada. This is a small tribute to her. Miss Nabizada, we will. Miss Nabizada, until. She insists, Miss Nabizada, with her fist, Miss Nabizada. Though the Taliban wanted the flaunted man, leads their band, they could not hide Miss Nabizada. No command, no fearful present confined this mind to some lost hidden desert. Miss Nabizada from the eastern lands stood for election, which when now no woman can. Miss Nabizada led the way, where they would not say. Instead, they slay Miss Nabizada, and her brother wounded, bloodied others. Miss Nabizada didn't flee. She didn't run to peace, but stayed and spoke her piece. The Taliban could not stand these truths be told by such a brave heart, this woman bold. Confined, they want no freedom taunt. These unholy fools would try to hide these women jewels. Each woman imprisoned inside her what? Home or tomb? This lawless, flawed bloom. She was a servant to the people, her life enshrined now in her story steeple. Miss Nabizada would not be stayed. She was brave. She was not afraid. She knew the truth. These fearful men couldn't buy her, couldn't send her home again. These men could not stop the mighty heart. Miss Nabizada played her part. Hannah Newman of the European Parliament said she was killed in darkness, but the Taliban built their system of gender apartheid in full daylight. One last piece I want to share with you. Long ago, many of us who are environmentally aware knew and remember a place called Love Canal. Unfortunately, right now in the city of Bristol, Tennessee, and Virginia, there are 3 burning trash mountains, polluting the air, polluting the water, killing people, making them sick, and the state of Virginia will do nothing. So this is a tribute. This I wrote for Love Canal, but the truth is still horribly, horribly the same. Love Canal. Love Canal. Wait a while. Feed the coins into the slot. People matter. Probably not. Big bucks sing and politician fling cares away. Toxics play beneath their feet. Ain't it neat? With your breath to your death. Love Canal. Wait a while. Feed the coins into the slot. People matter. Probably not. Toxics bleed from stream to seed. People count. Small amount. Chemical companies high on profits up. With politician in corner pocket cups. Ask their favorite scientist why. The air kills birds, and hasty words can cancel kill. The federal fill, the bureaucrats swill, but it's okay. They'll go away. Noisy people become dead people fast enough. Ooh, nasty cough. Sure, the cost of carring's high, and rusty drums pile to the sky, and renegade truckers dump the mix of dirty tricks on unsuspecting victim hicks. Really, some poor fool's backyard. Not to worry, big money's wads got the nod. It won't reflect on ledger sheet, chromosomal change, or brains deranged. Change the claims, reassure and say, some must die for stocks to fly. Fix fertilizer from hand to eye, from rain to brain calling loud, breaking children, crying crowds. Point to laws that safely print, and grind your eyes into a squint. It hides in the smallest print. It's okay, so go away. Feed the coins into the slot. People matter, really not. 50-gallon drums will melt. Is that the funky thing we smelt? Wells with fevers neath their belts. Unwells leave grim surprises, weaving gray reprises, and catch you with your jeans dropped down unless you walk above the ground, and your drinking water has never been found to meet the need of chemist greed. It's safe. He'll bury the bones in your neighbor's escape. You needn't relate. It's fate. Love Canal's far away from here today. Don't petition. Don't even pray. Love Canal, Wait a while. Feed the coins into the slot? People matter? Probably not. Enough dead to justify the bucks. Hey, call us when you need some trucks to carry away the neighbor and say, feed the coins into the slot. People matter? Probably not. Confirm with a mushy promise what's upon us. People crying, children dying. Feed the coins into the slot. People matter? Surely taught.
Wow, thank you. Your passion, your ability to speak to all those issues. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
Honored.
Likewise. Lantern carrier.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Do not say that it is sad news when I finally bow out ever so gracefully from this mortal coil. The same love that drew its breath and summoned me from the great silence as a spark to enter a woman's sacred sanctum now bids that I return to its golden shows. Have you ever seen a boomerang not return to its source of origin? A bungee jumper still tied to his rope, not return to his starting point? The winter sweet clematis fades from glory, only to return next season more radiant than before. Iris and Narcissus rise again in spring in all their pristine splendor. On this wheel of samsara, the old year fades and a new beginning dawns, whispering promises of light for a magnificent tomorrow. Everything moves in cycles, and the earth is round precisely to allow its citizens to return to their starting point. How much more valued are humans who are nothing short but a manifestation of light? No, do not weep when I finally retire from this ballroom of music to lift the Venetian drapes, admire the decor and pageantry of my immaculate bedroom. I will look at the silk-woven pillows, the chandeliers, the grandeur of a room not yet manifested in this field of Dharma. But until I return, I will chant alleluias and sing with minstrels, offering praises to love. Poem 2. Spirit of my sister. I looked at her lovingly as the flames of holiness shone deeply in her eyes. She was soon to be in transition, but gave me an elbow of discernment, and what I received for speaking my mystic truth of the inner journey, of the immortality of the soul, was increased 1,000-fold. I remembered her smile, her jokes, her sweetest affection as we held hands, her tenderness of love. The divine spoke to my soul, whispered of the joy we felt in each other's company. Her life was a prayer of service, of soulful self-giving, a drum major of sacrifice bedecked in the benevolent merits of paradise. I remembered her culinary treats of crab and callaloo, oiled on breadfruit, roti and goat, of how she liked company and loved to laugh. Heaven had drenched her in its charisma, adorned her in honey of the most precious kind, gave her a life of dauntless fortitude. I remembered our walk through the corridors of the state-of-the-art MD Anderson, the phone call from the consultant telling me she was almost at the end of her earthly sojourn. We spoke, discussed life in which she said she was ready to return to the glories of heaven. Now I gaze around the bed where she lays. She's lost much weight, but her face is ethereal in heaven. Her feet are like charcoal, and she's kept going by the long oxygen tubing attached to her nasal orifices. She's surrounded by her children and family, and the mood is somber, silent, tearful. The morphine has kicked in, but she's mercifully aware I remember. Or times in Austin, lost in the diversity of color and beauty of how we stroll along the river with success and failure tossed into the turbulence of our tides, like tornadoes do to the whistling willow, their two interwoven imposter friends called victory and defeat still dancing on her forehead. No, I'm glad that she's finally been taken away from the venom of toxic therapies, even though thankful that they had mercifully extended her time, lessened her afflictions for another 8 years. She was young, made more sacred but poignant, reverent, as she passed God's grace on her 56th birthday. Ultimately, we swing on a boat fashioned by love's pendulum, always in motion like a prudent river, flooding its banks as necessary, taking the sediments of our lives with it, preening the mental weeds before finally arriving into the ocean of the great unknown. Heavy rain falls and the ground becomes damp, yet green grass will emerge. Shooting stars dance with constellations. Silently weaving the celestial splendor, they laugh with moonlight and whisper sweet tales of reverence to Orion. Today heaven called, and even as she walked hand in hand with eternity, minstrels rejoiced, while the trumpets blew symphonies in ancestral Jerusalem. My younger sister gave me an elbow, saying it was okay, that she understood that the pearly gates were ready for her arrival, and she was going home. Anton Carrier, thank you.
Lantern Carrier, I don't have words. That was so beautiful. Both of those were so beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you,
It's
thank you.
wonderfully done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we have Clive Oseman.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so yeah, for something for completely different, as they say. I'm going to do two. There are a couple of people here who will have heard them, but obviously there's a lot of people that haven't. For those who haven't heard me for a while, unfortunately, my mind does seem to be becoming more bizarre as time goes on. But I'm actually enjoying that. It's nice. It's nice to be a lunatic, as Ian Drury once said. Yeah, I'm going to do two. And the first one, and for those who have never heard me before, just in case you don't like it, there will be a couple of swear words here and there, because I'm an uneducated prole. But so I'm going to start with one called Never Buy a Cheap Hamster. Sometimes my poems are a bit surreal. This one is more serious, I feel. You see, if there's one thing that really pisses me off, it's my hamster trying to play Rachmaninoff. He would probably get away with Liszt, but when he tries to play Sergei, he just sounds pissed. The notes are just all over the place, like my poems. It's a fucking disgrace. I paid a £5 for that useless beast. You'd think he could play Chopin at least. I think those who went to the conservatoire cost 150 quid or more. Now, I know that was a dodgy rhyme, but whose fucking poem is it, yours or mine? I think he got some kind of bursary to learn to sing like Freddie Mercury. But that's no good to a fan of piano who likes a bloody good concerto. Yet, the gerbils are the orchestra. All bloody night, he sings I Want to Break Free, because he can't remember Bohemian Rhapsody. I wish he would break free, that's what I'm saying. His singing is worse than his piano playing. So, the message is clear. Unless you're demented, concert-level hamsters are pretty expensive. And don't get me started on the dog. He's a cute little fellow, but do you think he can play Dvorak on the cello? A music fan once said to me, the animals are good. I'd ram my piano up their arse if I could. All the money I've wasted depleting my wealth. I could have had the bloody lessons myself. And I may have exaggerated about the gerbils. So that's that one. And this one I only wrote a couple of days ago, 3 days ago or something, this week anyway. And I don't know about you, but Does it annoy you when you buy something online or you stay somewhere or go somewhere and you keep being pestered to leave a review? Even if you've already left one, you still keep getting these emails and they say, leave a review, leave it. It annoys me. And this is how to handle it. I recently bought one of your teddy bears for my friend's birthday. The delivery took a day longer than advertised, but that's okay. I allowed plenty of time anyway. I don't know why she has such an obsession with bears, but she cares for hundreds of them. She even has teddy bear picnics. Today's the day, apparently. She's a lazy bastard. She says dogs and cats make too much mess, but teddy bears impress her with their cleanliness. People find this pretty strange, but she's 44 and she'll never change. And as this was her special day, I bought a new one anyway. She'd been 43 for a whole year, and 43 is unlucky for her. So she was glad to see it pass. As a 43-year-old, she stubbed her toe at least 5 times, got arrested for some petty crime, and lost 3 family members. She did eventually remember where she'd left them, but 2 of them had frostbite and the other one was 2 stone light. Anyway, I'm rambling. You want a review of your teddy bears, not her life story, to be fair, so here goes. The packaging was very colourful, but maybe a bit overdone. It took ages for her to open it, probably because she was wearing boxing gloves for some reason I didn't understand. It would have been better to use bare hands, but I wasn't going to argue with someone wearing boxing gloves and swearing like a trooper. I like my face as it is, thank you very much. Anyway, eventually, when from the box the bear was released, the poor bastard was deceased. It stared up from its lifeless eyes. My poor friend was traumatized and spent her special birthday crying. So now I'm hoping he was insured. But if he wasn't, I am assured it was your fault. He was asphyxiated, and now we need to be compensated. So, if you go down to the woods today, you're in for a big surprise. If you go down to the woods today, you better go in disguise. 'Cause every bear that ever there was is there except that one, because today's the day the poor thing gets cremated. Now stop pestering me, so leave a review. Thank you very much. And just before I go, if I can do a quick plug, I will post the link in the chat. Tomorrow night, Beehive, which I co-host, is doing a special book launch event online for Ngaima Shamshun. It's a brilliant collection. I know Rick's got it, I've got it, and it is a really good book. So we are running an event tomorrow night, which starts at 7:30 UK time. So that's 1:30 PM Nashville time. There will be an open mic as well. So if you'd like to come along, I don't normally do this. I normally say you must email for the link, but obviously I trust everybody here, so that's fine. So the link is just about to go into the chat now. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We definitely needed the laugh. You did a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lesley Constable.
Hello, I get to follow Clive. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to read. I'm going to read 3. None of them are long. First one is, when I speak softly. When I speak softly. Oh, sorry, I'll start again. When I speak softly. When I speak to you and I speak softly, I have something to say. When you shout, if it gets to that point, that place, in that moment, when you scream, the subtlety of meaning what you mean to say is lost and cannot be recovered. When you shout, I cannot hear you. You hear the sweet whispers of the lover. You hear the dulcet sounds of your mother singing you the lullabies of her people, your people. You hear these. They register deep in your soul. We are made to only have listened to the harsh voice, to resist, to block, to not take into us, into the middle of our soft, soft bellies, the screams of another. Listen to me, my love, my friend, little child, my sister or brother. Listen to me when I speak to you softly, because this is love. The next one is wave. I was almost free and then I wasn't. You know how that goes. Freedom is transient, always. And when I wasn't free, I had to think about what I was thinking. What was I thinking? Or better, why was I thinking? Being free is being. Thinking about being free is thinking, not being. So, in thinking about being free, you are certainly not free. You are just thinking. It's different. Start again. Thinking I was almost free, whatever that means or what it meant to me at the moment, in the moment, I sang. And then I felt the warm sand on my feet. And when the wave came up, as it does, I felt the cold water of the ocean on my feet, the cold on top of the warm. And then I was free. So my last one is called Repairing the Cracks. This is a true story. Why not see the cracks in the floor as not flaws, but their own entities, deliberate, perfect as they should be? Then the cracks become a river, many rivers coursing on their way to the sea. Fine cracks are the tributaries, wayward, meandering, and finally and forever losing themselves in the land to become not rivers. When I repair them, my index finger, encrusted with pigment and white cement, I lay on the cool floor to work, as committed to the ground, to my relationship with the floor as a modern dancer. Moving by means of knees and elbows only, I inch my way across. Following the rivers, I become omnipotent. I am God high above, looking down at my work, and I am satisfied. As I work in the pigment, rubbing and rubbing in and then scraping smooth, I bless each small fissure, each turn of the river, rubbing in also as I work, my self-satisfied God love, blessing all the small things, for I am large. The fissures are not mistakes. There are no mistakes in nature, only perfection. There is only time and process. I am large in the air and floating, reveling in the magnificence of all I take in, and then as God I breathe out. When I exhale only love, the dusky orange love of rojo oxido, red earth. How perfect the color of red earth, the most basic and real of the pigments, red earth. I'm grounded, no more flying. I'm committed to the ground and the glorious imperfection of the cracks. As I stand up, finally finish, and observe my prune-wrinkled index finger, I consider the possibility that my floor cracked just so a young child would come and visit me and lie on her belly, just like me, and follow the cracks, inching along under the bed, under the table, following the cracks anywhere they go, just as I did, and then, like the God she is, rise up high, so high, out of reach, omnipotent, and look down on her creation, the river that is my floor, the river coursing to the sea, and be glad as God is glad. So that's all for me.
Wow. So flowing, so beautiful. And just that last one was so healing. It was really wonderful. Thank you. Generalissimo Bryan Franco. Yay.
Hi, I'm not going to be on camera, but I'm going to read one poem, which will be in the upcoming gun violence anthology by Red Green Books, and it's called Caveat, and it's actually a sloppy poem, which is a long form poem and sandwiched between two haikus. Caveat. To be skillfully lazy can take a lot of extra time and work. I do not feel comfortable saying the word caveat. It's one of those words that sounds like it should only be spoken by people with PhDs. I've thought about using it in quite a few poems only to decide against it after looking up the definition. In essence, a caveat is a stipulation or proviso that allows someone to not follow a rule or procedure, basically an exemption or workaround. At least that's what I think. Caveat is a word often used to replace the word excuse. I'm an expert at making excuses that don't cut the mustard. So after I backed up my car from the garage the other day, I turned on the radio to NPR and decided to set my iTunes to Stevie Wonder because I wasn't in the mood to listen to another news report about another mass shooting. If I'm having a bad day, do I get an exemption from listening to another story about a mass shooting? Was the fact that a prescription medication suddenly rose from $12 to $218 per month a caveat for me to avoid listening to this news story that almost seems commonplace due to its frequency of occurrence? Have I found a caveat for the indifference I was expressing by choosing Stevie instead? Was I becoming desensitized to mass shootings despite I still can't comprehend how anyone can commit such violence or why a civilian can buy a war weapon expressly engineered for accurate killing of multiple humans? I used to think there was an unwritten rule of the natural order of things that says if a mass shooting happens 1 or 2 days after another mass shooting can't happen for at least another 3 weeks or a month, but the fates have found a caveat around that one. How do any of us make any sense of any of this? Is there a caveat that allows us to decide one mass shooting is worse than another when it happens at a school rather than a church or synagogue or mosque or gay bar or grocery store or music festival? How about whether the mass shooting happened at a high school, middle school, or elementary school? How about a mass shooting of hate concerning ethnicity, race, religion, sexual orientation, or a combination? Do I live in a country where the inalienable right to have caveats where caveats should not exist exists? There are no caveats or excuses for these mass shootings. There are no caveats or excuses for indifference expressed by our elected officials who are not passing laws that should make our schools and grocery stores and malls and other public spaces safer. Their indifference is not a caveat or excuse for our indifference. Simply put, there is no excuse for any of it anymore. To be skillfully lazy can take a lot of extra time and work. Thank you. And I believe next month I will be the feature here at Gestalt. Is that correct, Amy?
That is February 25th, same time.
Then on March 25th, I will also, I'll be doing a Tumble Words workshop entitled Consequential Words, and I'll put all that stuff and how to buy my book in the chat right now. So thank you very much, Amy. This has always been such a wonderful space, and I did really enjoy meeting you in person and when I came to Nashville.
Same here. We had a wonderful meal and lots of good festive talking, and it's very nice. Thank you. Hope to see you again. Is Epiphany Divine here? Don't see. Kate Jenkinson.
I wasn't planning to do anything tonight, Amy.
I'm so sorry. We don't have to. No worries.
That's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'm loving listening.
I'm glad you're here. Is Catherine Adams here? Okay. Some Canto. I don't see him. Okay. Bryan Daly.
Hello.
Hello.
I've got free copies of my new chapbook for anybody who wants one. I'll put my email address in the chat window. It's this chapbook right here. It's printed at Sir Speedy, so you know it's going to be high quality. It's called Billy Collins Bookmark. Now, all kidding aside, I really appreciate being able to come here and try out these some of these poems, which I've done over the last 6 or 8 or 10 months. And thank you for listening. So I asked Amy if she would, and I sent her a copy a couple of weeks ago, I guess. And I asked her to pick out a couple of poems for me to read that, you know, she thought didn't completely suck. And she said, I got to find 2 like that. But she ended up sending me 3. So, and I think, I think, you know, they're like probably 5 minutes altogether, not counting the 4 minutes that I just blew with this introduction. So if I go over time, you know, just honk the horn. Okay, the first one is called Aunt Lolo at Max. At Max, the Irish funeral home, we gathered to wake my father's mother. Must have been 50 daughters, sons, cousins, us grandkids circling the motionless casket. Nobody but Grammy looked sad. I didn't see booze, though some guys may have been primed or carrying, or what's now my personal preference, both. The menfolk mingled and chatted and chuckled in their heedless fashion. Uncle Joe told a joke. Others followed suit. The chuckles became laughs. The laughs roars, till one ungodly howl of blood-curdling intensity bested them all. Inappropriate wasn't a word then, like it is now, that covered everything. But that's what it was, I thought. They shouldn't be cutting up this way. It's a wake, for God's sake. I turned toward the howl to Stink Eye, the dude who found Grammy's death so hysterically funny. But it's only Aunt Lolo, my own godmother, sitting by the fruitcake, shaking all over in a floor-length dress and weeping convulsively into her hands. Okay, we go from the death of one person to the death of many people. And Amy, you know, thanks for picking out the, you know, the big laughers here. This is called The Gorgeous Jam Jars of Armenia. The day after the invasion, we stopped into Alexei's Russian market on Thompson Lane to buy anything. See, Alexei's Russian market is owned by Ukrainians. The storefront window where on a visit 5-10 years ago, the Russian flag hung side by side with the Ukrainian today stands half empty. We bought salami from Ukraine, kielbasi from Poland, and Gouda cheese made in-house by Alexei, who smiled when I said, please to slice me half a loaf of chleb. On the way to the cashier, I snagged a jar of raspberry preserves from a metal shelf. Then we hurried home to our Ukrainian picnic. Hey, don't get me wrong, I love Smuckers as much as the next guy, but this jam Alexei sells is Boss. Produced by Tamara Fruit, Republic of Armenia, reads the label. No preservatives, artificial colors, or flavors. To top it off, the jar is a sculpture, a gorgeous glass globe flanked by small ridges like handles to support it with, if you want to. The jam jar is nearly empty now, and when it is, we plan to rinse it out and use it as a vase. Not sure for what, maybe just an empty vase for hope. If you ever find yourself in Alexei's Russian market, cruise down the aisle of the Republics and grab you a jar of Tamara's raspberry preserves before they're gone. When the trucks roll by outside on Thompson Lane, hark! You'll hear them start to rattle on the shelf. So we go from and this is the last one. Do I have time? Okay, so if we go from the death of one person to the death of many people, and now we're going to a big league baseball pitcher. And this is the saddest one of all. And I know it's in here. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is called Madison Bumgarner. And this is based on the only other place in Nashville that lets me read. I was surprised last month when Nancy mentioned she taught Madison Bumgarner in college. Back while she was professoring at, I think she said, North Carolina. For you non-sports fans, Bumgarner's an all-star pitcher for the Arizona Diamondbacks, who lately inked an $85 million deal to work for 5 seasons. What skill is worth $17 million a year, you ask? Answer: throwing a baseball in such a way that opposing batters twist themselves into pretzels while trying and almost always failing to hit it. I picture him sitting quietly in the lecture hall for freshman English, 6 feet 5 inches tall, curly brown hair poking above the crowd, co-eds in miniskirts circling his chair like loyal infielders, gripping the seams on a horse-hide. He pricks up his ears while Nancy explains what James Joyce was up to when writing Ulysses, the novel where he triumphs by proving himself even trickier, believe it, than Odysseus. College profs don't make a lot compared to 17 mil. And I believe, don't you agree, that Nancy is well within her rights to track down Bumgarner in Phoenix and say, hey, Maddie, old pal, how about a little taste of that salary action? After all, I'm the gal who taught you the curveball.
So well done. Thank you so much. Thank you. Glad to have you here. Julie O'Hara? No, okay. Marianne Teft? Naima's not here. Mary Lou Napick, are you here? No, okay. Hi, Franchesa. You want to read? Can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
I can now.
Okay. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
I can read one for you because I know that it's a long show, and I know you enjoy some things, right? I like to talk about my chai versus cocoa sometimes, because we are, in still that phase of winter where it's kind of cold. So chai, the first time I tasted you, I was in love. As a warm drink, cocoa had my heart. Hot cocoa and marshmallows hit the spot. Now when I relax, I think about chai. Cocoa, you were good. when hot chocolate came to mind, I can find you in so many flavors, Cocoa. People love you, Cocoa, as a symbol of winter. I once found you at Sundance with all of the trimmings. Although chai, I can find you at Starbucks on ice. Oregon chai is the best brand for me. All of the rich, spicy flavor. Cocoa, I never iced you. Oh, that would be something new. For now, I think I'll stick with chai. Bye-bye. I see people drinking their nice warm beverages. And
You made me
like it
thirsty.
helps our throats to get quenched and everything, but it also helps us feel like we're in that time of season when we partake of certain good treats for our bodies.
I agree. I agree.
Do you want to hear another one, or do you want me to just pass
We
it on?
are running. We're running a little on. And VeeraJAR wanted to read some too, some more.
So I think I'll just let that be. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much
I'm
for
so
letting me
sorry.
read.
Thank you for being here. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
VeeraJAR?
Okay. Thank you, Amy.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And so I'll read 2 more poems. I think it would be a nice wrap up. And again, thank you for inviting me and featuring my poetry. And you all are great audience and wonderful poets. And I enjoyed listening and very passionate. And so it's my pleasure. Thank you. This poem again, published 2021 Best Poets. Since COVID and we were all in our own places away from people, so this poem came due to that thought about how people are faring. And so, to you, my lonely one, when I am writing this poem, I have no idea when and where you'd be, but know you'd be reading these words I write for you alone, the dear one. I imagine you are smiling, humming away your favorite tune, relaxing as the sun plays hide and seek, a dog comfortably snoring at your feet. You are not alone, feeling lonely. If you are, let my words reach you, just enough to catch your breath. There in that air, breaths of so many. We are all needed by others. Even the flower that blooms for a day cannot deny its beauty or its sense. Heavenly messages in the air it sends. Wonder in every breath you take. Do you feel the essence of the loving message every living being has for you? You laugh, vibrant as the moon.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
I have one more poem.
Okay, looking forward to it.
Okay. So this one, I wrote thinking of what a good poem means for me. I was asked to say something. So there was an event and we had a poet's table. So we were asked, let's know what good poem is for you. So I wrote a poem. So here it is. A good poem. For me, a good poem throbs with humanity, springs with nature, fills the heart, stirs the mind, bringing out new dimensions. A good poem for me turns an ordinary into extraordinary, brings out the best, an aha feeling of even a leaf falling. A good poem for me touches the soul, brings out the tears and joy, gratitude in the living, in all colors and differences, an attitude to embrace humanity. For me, a great poem turns intangible tangible, labors every poet on earth at it. God reminds me he is the greatest poet, turning intangible tangible every day. The best poem for me is you, you, and you. Everything around me and me, for God is the greatest poet. Thank you.
Thank you. That was so beautiful and loving, spiritual. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being our featured poet.
Thank you so much. Thank
Oh,
you,
you're
everybody.
welcome.
Great
Thank
audience.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's about 5 o'clock. Is it okay if I read one or so?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. I know it's late, so I won't do more than one. Okay. Angel clouds and shadows. Angel clouds above us in the moment. Georgia O'Keeffe painted clouds like stepping stones into the portal of the horizontal line. Galapagos, Michelangelo, ghost winds, ghost towns of the mind. He seeks connection, craves it, sincere eye contact, and adores sniffing my fingers. Every person who keeps on walking by the fence has this opportunity to connect with him. Many don't because they're on their journey. So Muñeco, the action figure dog, barks. He seeks love at every turn, as it should be. 60 degrees and we enjoy being outside again in Tennessee on January 11th. California mudslides, massive flooding. It's all related to the time. Climate change. Friends evacuated, telling us they're safe. Now we have a day of snow. It doesn't make sense. Surreal. Butterfly shirts for guys. He is the light in the jungle, putting out fires in the Amazon. From an ornithological perspective, the birds are dying. What does that say about us? Birds are older than dinosaurs, but somehow we can't keep up with survival. Everything we've named becomes a misnomer. Our reality was stamped on the earth, not grown up by the roots. Pain and pleasure are flipped for a time. We don't see that our deals are hurting us. The deal for the house and the car. The rent kills us every month. Few options. We take the pain as normal. Pleasure was a bargain that didn't come through. Consumers all, how do we now grow our own food? Pleasure is roots up, not stamped down. Roots up, we sink our toes into the soil. Mostly bitter, we still add cream for sweetness, knowing where things are made, who, how. Fair trade, farm to table, wherever possible. It's getting too late to flip concrete for compost. Dusk and darkness is falling along with the sun on the horizon. Shake the jaguar from deep within your soul. Walk through your body with soft paws. Thank you. Oh, awesome.
You could read one more, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Your house.
You're right, man. It's so true. I'm going to do a shorter one. This is from this book, Feathers, which James also read from, which is amazing. I just heard they're going to try to do a few more copies of that. because it's very rare right now, but it just came out. Okay, this is one from the 90s when I was driving to Memphis. It's called Sketching Barefoot. Barefoot time again, my lover the wind, loving the elements. Grackle throat out a cubbyhole, feather spike, blue, black, bright-eyed sound. The river was gray as slate, mudfish hidden, now green as jade as summer. Now they nibble at the surface, bubbling. Neil Young can paint a field. That's not all he can paint. These cows grazing safe, some curled, some stand. The way you said equus. The horse on that hill, lane shift, rail, part of that field already. The trees don't move. They whisper, rooted. A shadow bruises the light. Golden hawk stretched still in the air, underside white and buff, shadows softer than the morning dove, lulls and gone, but the soft it left. Thank you. Appreciate that. Gosh, you guys, this has been so amazing. I've got chills. It's been such a good session. I appreciate it.
It's so good to be back.
Yes, it is. in the
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much. Well, let's close her out and have a group hug and all the things, group photo. And it's good to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, everyone.
VeerajaR. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you all.
You too.
See
Thank
you
you so
again.
much. Thank you.
Yeah.
And next month, February 25th, Generalissimo Bryan Franco. All right, well, take care, everyone.